Hey there. So it's no secret that teen dramas are kind of my cup of tea. I mean, I've grown out of them a bit in the last year or so, but from middle school to senior year, there was nothing I loved more than binge watching whatever melodramatic high school series featuring full adult actors Netflix was willing to upload. The first was Gossip Girl, then in some random sequence, literally every single one ever made. Name one and I've seen it, no exceptions. Except for Degrassi. I mean, I've even watched Red Band Society, and nobody watched Red Band Society. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I recognize flaws in all of them, I would not hesitate to admit that I love most of them. I gobble up whatever garbage they throw at me because at the end of the day, I'm not watching Riverdale to exercise my critical thinking. I've never wondered why One Tree Hill didn't win any Golden Globes. I watch them to turn my brain off and release the side of myself that doesn't want to care about anything important. When I'm watching teen dramas, all I care about is whether or not Seth and Summer will get back together, which of course they will, but I need to see it to believe it. This isn't to say teen dramas are incapable of good writing or that they are critically untouchable, but that's all a subject for another time. However, there is one show that I watched like halfway through but gave up on because I was like, you know what, this isn't good now, and it wasn't when it started, so what am I still doing here? Which is kind of crazy because I'm pretty sure I was in middle school at the time, and middle school Julia didn't have standards. It had to be an absolute snooze fest for me to even think twice about it. And believe me, it was. I'm not even convinced that the people who watched all of The Secret Life of the American Teenager liked it.
Anna, you've watched all of The Secret Life of the American Teenager, right?
Yes.
Do you like that show?
I was entertained by it, I guess, because I watched it all the way through, but then I got to the end and I decided that it's a pretty trash show.
Okay.
But, like, it's alright, I guess.
Okay. Have you watched The Secret Life of an American Teenager?
Yeah.
How much of it did you watch?
The whole entire thing.
Did you like it?
It was okay. It got really weird.
Why? Okay.
You making a video?
Yeah, I'm making a video about it. Have you watched The Secret Life of the American Teenager?
Yeah.
You watched all of it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know you told me you were, like, doing a video about it, and then you said that I had the same eye shape as Shailene Woodley.
Oh, yeah. She does. Look. Doesn't she look like Shailene Woodley?
Okay, none of them said no, but it was iffy. I do know that people who really love the show are mad at it because of the finale episode, because the ending is kind of betrays you a little bit. I have just found out that after the show ended, the creator did this interview where she basically wrote a whole new ending just because everybody was bugging her about it. It's very J.K. Rowling. Here's the thing though, if it's not in the show, it's not canon. Now, I've wanted to talk about this show since I started making videos because I really dislike it, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. Usually I'd give a play-by-play of the plot, but usually I'm talking about movies, and movies are an hour to 2 hours long. This is like 121 episodes. It's probably something like 80 hours of content. How do you begin to talk about that? However, I've come to the conclusion that it isn't the plot that I hate about this show. I mean, it might be entertaining to make fun of with the 3 unexpected pregnancies, multiple marriages, or at least proposals, and a stillbirth, all while they're in high school. They're 15. That's 4 years older than 11. Also, there was that time Grace lost her virginity and therefore blamed herself for her father's plane crash death. That's when I stopped watching. I had to draw the line somewhere. But none of this is unique from other shows that I enjoy. Comparatively, that's all pretty chill. Like, my favorites ever are Gossip Girl and The OC. Some of the things that happened in those 2 shows are absolutely outrageous. Not to mention the supernatural or mystery spins on the teen drama genre that get away with the most bizarre storylines. I think once you get past a season of any drama show, not even just teen drama shows, it's gonna go off the rails because the characters have to be doing something. They can't just do their homework and argue with their parents like real teenagers, or that would be a boring show. So yes, Serena must reveal that she was manipulated into recording a sex tape, but in the midst of that, the guy had a Coca-Cola induced overdose and died. And Blair must attempt to run away with Chuck right before her wedding to a French prince whose child she's pregnant with, but get in a car accident, so then make a deal with God that if Chuck lives, she'll marry Louis. And later, they must accidentally kill Chuck's dad, who had previously faked his own death, and then get married so that she can avoid testifying against him. Because, you know, what else are they gonna do? Cheat on each other? Been there, done that. All jokes aside, you get what I'm saying, right? Outlandish turns of events have never been a deal breaker for me. They're kind of a plus. So for the past little while, I've been really trying to put my finger on what it is that made me hate The Secret Life so decidedly. If it's not the crazy twists and turns or the fact that it's unrealistic, then what is it? And I think I'm finally starting to put my finger on it. It's the complete lack of technique or style. In other words, it doesn't have enough pizzazz to be what it is, you know? It takes the same far-out dramatizations of teen life from all these other shows, but delivers them on Xanax. It's like teen drama Kool-Aid that they put too much water in. It's like interior design without a color scheme. These analogies are really fun, but do you get what I mean? I'm sure you do, but let's over-explain it for good measure. Here's the scene where Finn finds out Quinn is pregnant in Glee. A brief focal shift.
Quinn! Hey, what's with the silent treatment?
The camera follows them and doesn't cut until 13 seconds in.
Whatever I did, I'm sorry.
It cuts to a close-up centered shot, which is honestly genius for the high-pressure feel of this moment.
I'm pregnant. I wasn't sure.
Quinn's voice muffles and a quick heartbeat is added, which reminds me of an ultrasound heartbeat, but also really elevates Finn's panic.
What?
We know he's done processing the news when a locker slams, the heartbeat's gone, and they move back to a side angle.
Who else's would it be?
But we never...
Last month. Hot tub?
Finn looks to the right, and they use a slide transition as if he's literally visualizing the memory. Again, the camera moves towards them instead of just sitting still.
Think of the mail. Think of the mail. Think of the mail.
Another flashback, but this time it's sudden for comedic effect.
Oh!
And we slide back to reality.
But we were wearing our swimsuits.
It's pretty standard from there on out, but they've just taken us on a whole journey, so we need a break anyway. Here's the scene where Ricky finds out that Amy is pregnant in The Secret Life of the American Teenager. Shot of Ricky, shot of the room, shot of Ricky, shot of the therapist, and so on.
I heard this rumor that I got a girl pregnant.
Yeah, I pranked you when I said this was the scene where he found out she was pregnant. There is no scene where he finds out that she was pregnant. If there is, I couldn't find it skimming through the 2 whole episodes before he said this, so I guess it's just implied that he heard a rumor and this very key moment to the story just wasn't important enough for us to see. That's a very lukewarm reaction to huge life-changing news. Oh, the camera moved. And none of this accounts for the lighting, wardrobe, backing, and transition music that they use in not just a scene, but the whole show. Glee always had the coolest a cappella transitions, and if you showed me an outfit, I could tell you which character wore it. I mean, aside from the cheerleading uniforms. And on the other hand, The Secret Life never managed to look any more visually stimulating than a school assembly PSA, which isn't surprising because that's basically what it is. Remember these at the end of every episode?
The first time too many teenagers have a sex talk with their parents is when they're telling them that they're pregnant. Parents, if your teen has a question about sex, don't assume that they're doing it. And teens, if your parents aren't talking to you about sex...
And their 2 musical varieties were sad electric guitar and YouTube audio library. I mean, seriously, I think sometimes the music didn't just fail to enhance a scene, but actively ruined them. But hey, all I've really proven is that Glee is better stylistically than The Secret Life. And Glee is one of the most highly stylized teen dramas out there, probably next to Skins, Twin Peaks, Gossip Girl, and Riverdale. I know everybody hates that show right now, but we can't accuse it of being anything less than distinct. However, I think even shows without a cool setting or gimmick have more of a voice than The Secret Life does. My favorite example of this is One Tree Hill because, like The Secret Life, they don't do a lot of camera work. It's not very pow pow pow. It's more down to earth. But I love that show. I thought you guys would agree with me there. But who cares? This is my video. You're here to hear what I think. And what I think is that the reasons why One Tree Hill is superior to The Secret Life, despite also being stylistically bland, are character, acting, dialogue, and pacing. So sometimes my sister and I try to decide who our favorite One Tree Hill character is, and we can't decide because we love them all, except Peyton. We don't like Peyton. Whereas I hate every single Secret Life character, except for Ricky, but especially Amy. Amy is the worst character in television history.
And take care of the baby.
I just assumed that you'd keep the baby while I went to school. You can do that, right? Keep the baby while I'm at school?
Amy, I have to get a job.
Then where's the baby gonna be, Mom, if you're at work and I'm at school?
And it's also up to you to pay for any child care that comes with the baby, don't you think?
No, not really.
Grandpa needs a cup of coffee.
Yeah, well, you have to get it yourself. That's a new rule around here.
And if you don't like the characters, you don't care what happens to them. I think part of the reason why I don't like the characters, besides the fact that they're all wrecking balls of poor decision making, is the bad acting. I have no desire to really dive into the topic of acting because, and I know I've said this before, but I don't know how to explain why I've decided something is a good or a bad performance. Like, I come to these conclusions solely based on how I feel when I'm watching it, which is why I've decided Shailene Woodley and Molly Ringwald are good actresses given bad dialogue and bad directing, which probably means that same thing bogged down all the other actors, except I kind of refuse to believe that those two girls that were Amy's friends were actually good actresses underneath there, because I think they actively ruined every scene that they were in. But I think the real issue is pacing. I mean, I dropped out of college before we really reached the subject in my film class, so I'm no expert, but the amount of dead space between every line in this show makes me really uncomfortable.
I'm starving.
And I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's bad. And you know what? All in all, I don't think the show's concept or message really makes up for any of its failures. I can appreciate that they wanted to portray teenagers talking to their parents about sex in a non-taboo way, but more often than not, every interaction any of the characters have with their parents turns into a petty argument, which isn't really the greatest advertisement for talking to your parents openly and honestly. Man, the more I talk about it, the more I feel like there's just like no redeeming qualities to this show. But to be clear, if you like it, that's fine. I know since I posted that poll that apparently a lot of you do, so I don't want you to be mad at me. I tend to value things in my entertainment that I think this show lacks, but if you prioritize other things that you think it does well, then cool. But in conclusion, to me, it is the worst teen drama of all time. I have a suspicion that Degrassi could probably beat it out, but that's the one I haven't watched because I can't subject myself to that. I just care a lot about style and voice, the concept we learned in 7th grade to write our essays with a little more oomph. I think just as important as the story you're telling is the lens you're telling it through. The Secret Life of the American Teenagers title suggests that it's like an unfiltered look at what teens could be getting up to, but it's not, which makes you think it might possess a sort of shameless, raunchy realness to it. It does not. The cover art and the opening theme leave me with a Pushing Daisies, colorful, quirky vibe, which also could have been fun, but it's also not like that. The production of the show is just static and monotone and frankly, boring. So I hate it. Please don't hate me. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Bye.